There's a nifty aspect of functions where we can actually define functions in one file, in one Python file, and we can use those functions in another file. And this is something that's very useful to know and to be able to use. So that is called importing. We use this import reserved keyword in Python at the top of our Python script, and we specify the file where our functions are located, and then we can use those functions. So we say, we could also say from our file name, import function. And we'll come back to this in a bit more depth later on in the course, but I think it's really good to know how to do this at this point. So what we can do, let's say we have a my functions file. I'm going to delete everything but our function for calculating change, and we'll create a new function to just add two numbers. Def add numbers, and we'll say num1, num2, and we'll return num1 plus num2. Okay, so these two functions, calculate change and add numbers, are located in this file called my_functions.py. What I'm going to do is create a new file, main. Okay, so these are located in the same subdirectory. So let's say import my functions. So my functions, and we don't need to include the extension of .py. We're just saying my functions. Python knows that it's a .py. So now what we can do is we can call my functions. We're referencing that file. Then we dot, and you see PyCharm already knows there's two functions in there, calculate change and add numbers. So this dot is what, in this instance, will call these functions. So we can do dot calculate change, and we can say, well, the cost will be 10, the money supplied will be 15, and then let's see, we do have a return value here. We're returning money minus cost, so let's just print, let's print the return value. We're printing the return of this function. And we see that's return 5. That function worked. So we could have a whole bunch of code in here doing our main program. We could have another file with our functions, and we can use those functions from our main file. We could also say from my functions, if we only wanted to import one function, import calculate change. And then we would not have to include the file name here, my functions dot. We could just say print calculate change. We can run that, same result. So we're just being more specific. However, if we now tried to run our other function, which was add numbers, you see it's not auto-populating for me. See, there's an error because it doesn't know what add numbers is. We could just from my functions import add numbers. Then that would work. So very useful thing. What you might do is you might have a file with a bunch of functions related to a certain task that you're trying to do. And then you can have another main file that actually executes line by line the code that you want, where you can just call your functions as you need. So very useful to know about this import, and that's something we'll encounter again in the course, and not too far away.